Stop, look, listen. That's what I want to talk about in today's episode because I don't know about you, but I find that life takes over a lot. We are bombarded with messages in the social media, digital world, but also in the everyday world. And I think sometimes it's so easy to just get carried away with our everyday lives and actually not stop to just take a moment and look around what's around us. And especially this is so helpful to just sometimes just to stop and create some space, but also actually to gather inspiration for art making. Sometimes you can feel stuck, you don't know what to make next, or you just feel like you've got too many ideas bursting out of your head. Or sometimes it's just life in general. Sometimes you just can't see the answers and maybe you've got lots of things to do or maybe decisions to make and you just can't decide. This exercise is really, really good for that. So this is what I want to talk about in today's episode. So first of all, we have a challenge. Depending on when you're listening to this, if you're listening to it on the replay, right now, today, we're starting a little mini challenge just for our listeners. We're not advertising this. We're just pushing this out on our social media. And we've got a 5-day sketchbook challenge. And today's is all about stop, look, listen. So you can go and find that on our social media. But I wanted to talk about that in this session with you because I did the session with Sharon in her studio last week, and I also did it the week before. And there was great power and lessons in this exercise that I want to share with you because the challenge today is to just take 2 minutes and stop. So with no distractions, you can do it with a friend. Like I did this exercise with Sharon. I've done it by myself, which I liked, and it was a different experience doing it with Sharon. We noticed things together, but it's about just stopping for 2 whole minutes and noticing and looking. Now, this is also a really good exercise to do before you approach an artwork. So if you're looking at a photograph or you're working from life or you've set a still life up in your room, whatever. I can't remember, there was an artist that had an amazing quote about this, looking. Spend more time looking than you do actually drawing. You know, he suggested spending at least 5 to 10 minutes just looking before you even attempt to start drawing something. And I'll never forget that piece of advice because it's so interesting. The more you look at something, the more you see. And if you just take that time and you time yourself as well, because quite often, I don't know about you, but I'll start a piece of work and maybe I'm going to draw this and I'll look and then I go, right. So that was about 5 seconds that I looked. So I've just picked a card up off my shelf with flowers on it. And so actually put a timer on and make yourself look for longer than the few seconds that you usually would. And so you can do that before you approach a piece of inspiration. But today we're taking a step before this even. Today, what I'd love to encourage you all to do is just set a timer and take 2 minutes and put yourself in a location. It could be a room in your house, it could be outside. So I did this 2 weeks ago, and outside here I have my room, I have 2 big doors that overlook my garden, and I sit in this room every day. And I opened up the doors and I put the timer on, and I literally spent 2 minutes looking out at the view that I always look at. I always sit in this window looking out, but I spent 2 minutes with the timer on, really looking. So usually I look out at the view and I look into the distance, and this time I really looked at things that I see every single day but I don't pay attention to. I looked at the guttering and I noticed all these patterns and this big beautiful spider's web, and I noticed things on the wall that had been there from years ago, these old hook hangings that I've never ever noticed before. And this is where this exercise is so great, because I did it again at Sharon's. I went to Sharon's pottery, and you can see the replay of this on our social media, on Instagram or Facebook. And Sharon and I went outside her pottery studio, and we put the timer on, and we just spent 2 minutes just looking around. Now, I go to Sharon's all the time, and Sharon's there every single day. And it's so easy to walk past things that we see every day and just not acknowledge or take in our surroundings. So I sat at Sharon's, and Sharon started to notice things that she hadn't noticed, and she's there every single day. And I started to look, and I noticed these petals on the ground, and I noticed these cones, and it was just it's such an amazing exercise to do by just looking, stop, look, feel. I just looked at the sky, and I felt the breeze, and just being really mindful and bringing myself to that moment, but then also noticing these things around me. And then from that, really started to notice things that really stood out to me. So for me, it was noticing the guttering. And then I did a quick sketch of the guttering. And when I went to Sharon's, the things that really stood out to me were these petals on the floor and these cones. And during the challenge over the next 5 days on our social media, Sharon and I will share what came from our Stop, Look, Listen, and how we've developed that in a sketchbook. And we invite you to do the same as well, because it's such an amazing exercise. If you're feeling like you don't know where to start, this is such a good place, because it forces you out of your head and overthinking things. You've got inspiration right now in the room that you're in. You can take something and you can have fun with it and explore, and you'll be surprised at where it might take you. The other thing is, if you've got too many ideas and you're like all over the place, this is good sometimes to just look at something completely different that you wouldn't usually go for, and use this as a little starting point to take you on a journey. So over the next 5 days on social media, I'm excited to go on this little journey with you all. And I encourage you all to just stop, look, listen. And sometimes if you're using this in the future, remember at times where you feel that life is taking over, or you just don't know what decision to make, just remember the stop, look, listen. Because if you set a timer for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and clear your head, if you're finding yourself asking questions over and over and over again, if you clear your head sometimes and just bring yourself to this exercise, to this moment, and just look around, it gets you out of your head and creates space in your mind for answers to come. So this can also be a great therapy tool for making decisions too. So I encourage you all to stop, look, listen, and take this moment and share it with us. I'd love to know what comes from your moment. Is it a room in your house? Did you go outside? Don't overthink the location. Just pick somewhere, do it. This is all just about just using what you have in the shortest time possible. So that's my little tip for today. And this is perfect prep, by the way, for those who are taking the Make Your Mark course, which starts on the 3rd of June. That course is run by Sharon Griffin, and she takes you behind the scenes of her design cycle. So where she starts to gather inspiration for her artwork, and how she takes that through stages of development, and how she then uses that work to create collections and final pieces that go into shows and things like that. So Make Your Mark is a super fun course over 7 weeks that you have access to for 12 months. And it starts on the 3rd of June. So I'm very excited to be taking part in that. And we'll put the link below if you're interested. And if you want to see behind the scenes of the 5 days of sketchbooking, then go and check out our social media channels. That's it. Have a great week. Have a wonderful week, and I will catch you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.